Shedeur Sanders is a quarterback who plays like he's already seen the ending. Cool under pressure. Precision in motion. He doesn't scramble unless he has to, but when he does, it's calculated chaos. His stats are solid. His highlight reel is ridiculous. And his leadership on the field is already more polished than some starters in the league. But what really sets Shedeur apart isn't just his arm or his game sense. It's his awareness. Shedeur Sanders knows who he is. More importantly, he knows what he is, a brand, a business, and now, a boardroom power player.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Because while most college athletes are still navigating nil deals and trying to land a seat at the table, Shedeur just bought the table. And not with some flashy one-off endorsement. Not with a chain-wearing photo shoot in front of a sneaker logo. No, he made his mark with a $250 million equity move that just body-checked the entire NFL economy into a midlife crisis. Here's the breakdown. Shedeur didn't just sell jerseys. He didn't sign a licensing deal. He didn't rent out his image to a third party. He secured an equity stake in the merchandise tied to his name, likeness, and brand. That means every jersey, every hoodie, every drop tied to him, he's not just getting a check, he's getting a cut of the company. That's not endorsement money. That's ownership. And now, the NFL is sweating through its billion-dollar suit. Because this isn't just a college kid making money. This is a college quarterback, before the draft, locking in a $250 million deal that doesn't involve the NFL at all. And that is terrifying to them. Why? Because Shedeur just broke the unwritten rule. Players play, owners own. Well, not anymore. He's doing both. And doing it loudly. This deal doesn't just set a precedent. It torches the blueprint, tosses the ashes into the air, and invites every future athlete to draw their own map. Because now every kid with a cannon for an arm and a camera crew on TikTok is thinking, I don't need to wait until I'm in the league to get paid like I'm in the league. The floodgates are open, and Shedeur opened them with a press release and a confident smirk. You got to understand how big this is. For years, the NFL and every major sports league, really, has relied on one simple fact. The league controls the revenue. Licensing, merchandising, media. Everything flows through them. Players are allowed to profit, sure, but only within the lanes provided by the machine. Even the biggest stars have limits. But Shedeur bypassed the machine entirely. He took the direct-to-consumer route and said, why should I give up the rights to my name when I can just sell it myself? And fans are buying. His jersey drops aren't just popular. They're strategic, limited edition, community-focused, built with brand storytelling. This isn't your average jersey drop. This is a cultural event. It's a merger of sports, streetwear, and social influence, designed to make people feel like they're part of something bigger than football. It's prime DNA, honestly. Deion Sanders may have pioneered the art of being a walking brand, but Shedeur took that foundation and scaled it like a Fortune 500 company. And the NFL, they have no playbook for this. You can sense the panic. Behind closed doors, league executives are asking the big questions. How do we control this narrative? How do we protect our branding power? How do we keep athletes in the system when the system suddenly looks like a downgrade? Because here's the thing no one wants to admit. Shedeur Sanders' deal doesn't just represent a win for him. It exposes a loss for the system that created him. This kind of deal shouldn't have been possible under the old rules. And yet, here we are. A player who hasn't even been drafted is out-earning most of the league's veterans, without ever signing an NFL contract. The ripple effects are already being felt. Agents are fielding new kinds of calls. High school phenoms want brand consultations. College players are skipping endorsement deals in favor of launching their own merch stores. Financial advisors are showing up at combines. The shift has begun. And it's not about players being greedy or trying to cash out early. That's what the old guard will say. But the truth? It's about freedom, control, autonomy. Shedeur just proved that you can be the face of your brand, the boss of your operation, and still be a high-level athlete. He's not just in the game. He's owning the game. And that forces a question the NFL never wanted to ask. What happens when a player is a platform? Because if athletes can generate revenue, run content, sell products, and build audiences without the league's infrastructure, what's the league for exactly? They used to be the gatekeepers of visibility and money. Now, they're just one option on the menu. And when athletes start realizing that the NFL needs them more than they need the NFL, game over. Here's where things get even more interesting. This deal isn't an isolated stunt. It's a long-term move. Shedeur didn't sell out. He invested in himself. And the numbers back it up. He has the engagement. He has the fans. He has the merch moving like it's Yeezy season. If anything, he's just getting started. Because once you've shown that you can generate 9 figures in brand equity before playing the league, you own every negotiation you walk into. Draft stock? Doesn't matter. Contract terms? Negotiable. Endorsements? Only if he's getting equity. Shedeur Sanders isn't going to be an NFL employee. He's going to be a partner. And the NFL will either evolve to meet that demand or be left behind as athletes start building their own ecosystems outside of it. And here's the scary part for traditionalists. It's working. The fans love it. They're showing up not just for the games, but for the drops, the content, the brand. Because Shedeur isn't just a player anymore. He's a movement, and he's bringing the audience with him. That's what's really changing the game. The connection between fan and athlete no longer requires a league middleman. And when that connection becomes profitable, you get leverage, you get independence, you get revolution. Shedeur Sanders isn't the first athlete to seek ownership, but he may be the first to pull it off at this scale before going pro. And now he's the blueprint. The NFL is going to try to adapt. You'll see tighter contract clauses, attempts to restrict licensing, maybe a PR push to paint this as an exception, not the rule. But it's too late. The players have seen the path, and they want more than a check. They want a stake. Shedeur just made that path look not only possible, but preferable. So what do you think? Is this the beginning of a new era where athletes call the shots and leagues play catch-up? Or is Shedeur just a one-on-one, too ahead of the curve to start a movement? Let's talk about it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're here for the chaos, the power plays, and the billion-dollar system shakeups, go ahead and subscribe, because this is no longer just sports. This is a takeover in cleats. See, the Shedeur Sanders deal wasn't just a power move. It was a line in the sand. And on one side, you got the NFL rigid, powerful, used to calling shots. On the other side, a new generation of athletes who just watched Shedeur walk straight past the front door of the empire and set up shop right across the street. And now, they're lining up to do the same. This isn't just about merchandise anymore. This is about the entire model of what it means to be a pro athlete. And Shedeur didn't just bend the rules. He redefined the rule book. The NFL's long-standing tradition of treating players like assets is suddenly looking, well, outdated. Like rotary phone outdated. Because let's be honest, the league is built on a certain hierarchy. At the top, owners, executives, corporate sponsors. Somewhere in the middle, media networks, team staff, marketing departments. And at the bottom, the players. You know, the ones putting their bodies on the line. The ones actually playing the game. Shedeur just flipped that entire triangle upside down. And now the league's looking at the pieces like, wait, how did we lose control of this? Let's take a step back and really look at the strategy. What Shedeur did was identify the cracks in the NFL's business model, the reliance on licensing, the dependence on centralized branding, the assumption that players would always need the league to monetize themselves. And he said, I don't. He leveraged his own platform, his own story, his own image, and made the kind of deal that athletes used to only dream about post-retirement. The kind that came with years of endorsements, media training, agency-backed negotiations. Shedeur pulled it off in college, and not by playing safe. He took a risk. He bet on himself. He knew his value and wasn't willing to let anyone else define it for him. And that mindset, that's contagious. Because now, young athletes aren't asking, how do I get drafted? They're asking, how do I monetize my identity? You're going to see high school players with business managers. Nil deal structure like startup investments. Personal logos dropping before scholarship offers. This isn't theory. This is now. And it's leaving the NFL stuck in the past, trying to push 20th century rules in a 21st century game. Let's not forget the optics. The NFL, despite all its polish and prestige, has long struggled with power dynamics. Players have fought for fair treatment in contract negotiations, for better health coverage, for freedom of expression, for respect. And now here comes Shedeur, young, black, media-savvy, unapologetically confident, making a $250 million move on his own terms. That terrifies them, not just because he's bypassing their system, but because he's winning while doing it. If Shedeur had tried and failed, they would have written him off. Arrogant, naive, another cautionary tale. But he didn't fail. He thrived. And now the league has to reckon with the fact that its next generation of talent might not see the NFL as the mountaintop, but as a negotiating table. A table they plan to own. This is where things start to get messy, because you better believe the NFL is going to fight back. Quietly at first, you'll hear phrases like protecting the integrity of the game or ensuring team cohesion. Translation? We're trying to stop players from building empires without cutting us in. They'll start floating contract language that limits external branding. Maybe implement policies that restrict independent merch sales. Probably try to tie jersey rights back into centralized licensing deals. But guess what? That genie is not going back in the bottle. The fans see it now. They're buying directly from the athletes. They're tuning into YouTube documentaries, not just Sunday Night Football. They're following player-driven storylines, not league-manufactured narratives. And when the fans follow the players, that's checkmate, because they are the currency, not the league, not the brand deals, not the 30-second commercials. The fans. And Shedeur understands this better than anyone. He's not just selling jerseys. He's selling connection. The idea that you're buying into a movement, that you're part of something disruptive, that you're rooting for the quarterback who said no thanks to the old playbook and built his own franchise from scratch. It's modern, it's magnetic, and it's making the NFL look like the blockbuster of athlete economics. The real kicker? Shedeur is just getting started. He's going to enter the league already ahead of the game, already wealthy, already empowered, already surrounded by a team that understands how to build value from the inside out. And he's going to walk into those draft meetings with a smile that says, "You need me more than I need you." That's not arrogance. That's leverage. And it's what every athlete has been chasing for decades. Think about the old path. Grind through high school, get to college, hope for a few sponsorships, pray for a draft spot. Then maybe, eventually, if you're lucky, you get to shape your brand. Shedeur reversed that. He built the brand first. And now, the league is going to have to earn a seat at his table. And the fans? They're here for it. Because they're tired of seeing their favorite players get exploited. Tired of billion-dollar teams crying poor when it comes time to pay. Tired of jerseys being sold for $130, while the player who wears it gets pennies. Shedeur's deal feels right to the people who matter most. The consumers. And that's what makes this different. This isn't just a good business move. It's a cultural shift backed by public sentiment. The fans are saying, yeah, get your bag. Own your name. Make them respect your value. That's not something the league can regulate. That's energy. That's momentum. And once you have that, you don't need permission. You don't need validation. You just keep building. So here we are. The NFL rattled. The players watching. The agents strategizing. The fans cheering. And Shedeur? Still calm. Still calculated. Still 3 moves ahead. Because this isn't about just one player making history. This is about rewriting the future. The NFL's monopoly on athlete identity is broken. And now the floodgates are wide open. If the NFL thought this was going to blow over, they've seriously underestimated what just happened. Let's be clear. This isn't a headline. It's a shift in gravity. Shedeur didn't just rock the boat. He picked it up and threw it into the ocean. And now the rest of the sports world is left treading water, trying to figure out how to swim in the new current he created. Think of the NFL as this towering empire built on structure, draft order, salary caps, endorsement hierarchies, licensing deals that funnel money from jersey sales into the pocket of owners and corporations before a player sees a dime. It's been the way for decades. Untouched, unchallenged, safe. Enter Shedeur. One deal, one stroke of the pen. And suddenly the foundation doesn't feel so solid anymore. Because now there's proof, cold, hard, unavoidable proof, that an athlete can opt out of the system before ever stepping foot inside it and still win. And the fallout? Oh, it's coming in waves. Agents are rethinking how they represent clients. Front offices are reviewing clauses in contracts they use to rubber stamp. Teams are asking whether they'll be drafting players or negotiating with brands. It's not business as usual anymore. It's business on Shedeur's terms. But here's the beauty of the whole thing. This was inevitable. The NFL and leagues like it have built their empires off the backs of star power while maintaining complete ownership of the spotlight. They profited off names, off numbers, off narratives, all while convincing the athletes that they should just be grateful for the exposure. Exposure doesn't pay generational wealth. Ownership does. And that's exactly what Shedeur claimed. He didn't settle for a licensing agreement. He didn't slap his name on someone else's product. He took control of the pipeline. From concept to production to marketing to sale, he owns the whole chain. That's vertical integration with shoulder pads. You know what else it is? It's a warning shot to every major sports league. Adapt or get left behind. Because now that Shedeur has proven this model works, not just theoretically, but financially, the playbook has officially changed. You think up-and-coming athletes are going to just sign away their rights now? You think they're not asking for equity in every conversation moving forward? Please, the top athletes in high school right now, they're watching this unfold like it's the moon landing. Only instead of NASA, it's nil. And instead of flag, Shedeur just planted a custom-branded jersey with his initials on it at midfield. And what's wild is he's still in college, still showing up to class, still playing Saturdays, still technically not a professional in the NFL's eyes. And yet, he's already playing a bigger game than the league's been ready for. This is bigger than sports. This is disruption at scale. It's athletes understanding that their value doesn't start when the league says it does. It starts now. It starts when they build a brand, tell a story, connect with an audience, and most importantly, keep ownership of the product. For Shedeur, that product is his name, his likeness, his life. And now it's a $250 million business. Let's talk legacy for a second. Deion Sanders, Coach Prime himself, didn't just raise a football player. He raised a businessman, a visionary, someone who learned early that media is power, that image is leverage, and that the Real win isn't just playing on Sunday. It's walking away owning Sunday. Shedeur didn't get lucky. He got smart. He watched. He learned. And when the time came, he acted. And now the NFL is playing catch-up in a game it's supposed to be running. So what happens next? Do you think Shedeur is going to be the last? Because let me tell you, this isn't just a one-time spectacle. This is the beginning of a movement. Other athletes are already asking the right questions. Not how do I get drafted, but how do I build my IP? Not what's my signing bonus, but what percentage of my brand do I keep? The power balance is shifting, and it's shifting fast. And leagues like the NFL, they're going to have to change the way they operate, or risk losing relevance with the very players that make the game worth watching. Because when players have options, they're no longer forced to play by outdated rules. And options are everywhere now. Nil deals, personal merch, YouTube monetization, content partnerships, podcasts, streaming, endorsements that don't require a middleman. Entire ecosystems are being built around players without league involvement. That's the danger. That's the opportunity. Because while the NFL is busy trying to control the narrative, Shedeur's out here writing his own, in his own font, on his own website, with a buy button. And here's the poetic justice in all of this. For years, players have been told to shut up and play, told that the business side is for someone else to handle, told that focusing on money would ruin their game. But Shedeur said, what if I do both? And guess what? He's thriving. He's proving that you can be a top-tier athlete and a top-tier entrepreneur, that you can chase championships and control your commercial rights. That success doesn't come from fitting into a mold. It comes from breaking it entirely. So yeah, the NFL's in panic mode. And honestly, it should be, because this is no longer a league problem. It's a model problem. And unless they start giving players a real stake, real ownership, real equity, real say, they're going to keep losing ground to athletes who realize they don't need to wait to be valued. They can set their own value, just like Shedeur did. And the impact, it won't just be on football, basketball, baseball, soccer, combat sports, you name it. The message has been sent. Own yourself, or someone else will. Shedeur chose ownership. And now, the whole world is watching. So, what do you think? Is Shedeur just a spark? Or is this a full-blown wildfire about to sweep through the entire sport industry? Let me know in the comments. We're diving deep into this one. And if you love watching power get flipped, systems get disrupted, and billion-dollar industries get called out by 21-year-old quarterbacks, subscribe. You're in the right place. Because the game, it just changed forever.